meeting is now being recorded and will be posted on the STRPB website, which can be found on the agenda.
All right, and since it's now being recorded, I'll just say it started at 6:05 and we did a roll call vote and we have a quorum. And on the agenda, it does have a link to this if anyone would like to see our website and so forth. Okay, approval of minutes. We have February 16th and March 16th. So let's do February 16th first. Anyone want to make a motion in a second so we can discuss them? Karen?
I have a question. It's sort of a follow-up question. Is this the right time to ask whether something that someone said would be done was done?
Do you want to make a motion to approve the minutes in second and then have a discussion around that if that's something in the minutes?
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, so Steve seconded, Karen made the motion, and go ahead, Karen.
Okay, it was under planning board update, the final consultants report. There was some discussion about some charts being incorrect. And Jane saying that we need to have the correct numbers, and I agree with that. And there was a suggestion of 2 different ways to handle that. Has either one been done?
I can answer that.
Okay.
Thank you,
I
Mike.
don't recall what the 2 different ways were, but I did produce some corrected charts. They were approved by the Finance Subcommittee. I'm not sure, actually, we may want to have them approved by the entire board. I thought we might have done that, but maybe we didn't do that. But anyway, the charts do exist. I think they may be on our website. Greg, you're nodding your head, so.
Yeah, I think the plan was to add the new charts that you created as an addendum so that the public knows that some of the numbers in the report from the consultants were not correct, so that we're open and transparent about that and getting ahead of that before the public just accepts the reports the way they are.
So is there a note somewhere next to the incorrect charts saying that there's a corrected version elsewhere?
Well, I don't think this has been done yet in terms of the procedure hasn't been completed in terms of being able to have the addendum done yet. But that, I think that could be a parking lot item for tonight.
Well, and I would add that the report that we received is a PDF. So actually adding notes to the report, unless somebody has a program that will allow us to do that. But that's kind of the point of PDFs, is you're not supposed to go changing them after the fact. So I think it's more a case of the board knowing that the charts are incorrect and that there are corrected versions and how to find them.
But it being on a public website, some people would be unnecessarily misled, is what I'm saying. And not everybody goes all the way to the end and reads every addendum. So I would urge that something be done about the incorrect numbers.
Something was done. I recall that the Finance Committee talked about it, might have the right numbers, and I believe the Finance Transportation Facilities Committee approved the correct version of those.
We did at our March
charts.
9th meeting.
Okay, but the fact remains it should be changed on the website.
Yeah, I mean, that can be done. It's just, part of it is that we don't have anybody getting paid to do this. So it's a question of when we fit that time in.
I understand, but we've had communications go out to people and direct them to the website, and they should be able to trust the information.
Alan? Alan?
I'm Jane, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I believe, I would have to go back and look at the minutes, but I believe what the the FTF voted was that there be a note that the corrected charts be attached and available, and that there be a note that they be available. We have no right to change the consultant's report. That is the consultant's report. We can note that there are errors in it, and we can put up the corrections, but we cannot change the consultant's report. That's the emphasis is my personal emphasis.
Well,
And I thought the remedy was, go ahead, Mike.
well, I was going to say, there are a number of documents on our site. It sounds to me as if maybe a good solution to the issue that Karen is raising would be for somebody on this committee, and as Greg says, we're all volunteers, so I guess we could be looking for a volunteer to produce a kind of introductory document saying, if you're a member of the public coming to this site looking for information, here's what you should know about what's available here. And that could include a number of things, but one of the things it could include is the information that some of the reports, some of the charts in the consultant's report are incorrect and corrected versions are available. But it could also point to the consultant's report, point to the other addenda, point to other documents that are there for various reasons. You know, in theory, just as kind of a, you know, as a, hey, welcome, here you are. You know, this is where you go first. Kind of like a, I think we used to call them README files back in the old days.
Who wants to volunteer to do that?
Well, exactly.
Well, I can do the work on the website. I think it's if you can pull together a document that would be an addendum to it, I can put it on the page where we have the consultant's report and readjust it so that there's a note that says, you know, something to the effect of corrections to this report found by Finance Committee. Please read, or you know, something to that effect, so that they understand that the report has been adjusted.
So going back to Karen's original inquiry, how about if at the bottom of these minutes, there's a, you know, a little asterisk, and it gives the remedy, you know, that it says in these minutes, please note that the, you know, chart 34, whatever, you know, was not accurate in the consultant's report. And you can find the corrected charts, you know, on the website under such and such. And just, so there's a reference to it in the minutes at the bottom.
Well,
Does that make sense?
that reference should probably be in the minutes for this meeting, right?
Yeah.
Because we didn't actually talk about that at the last meeting.
Right.
And Alan, it occurs to me,
Oh, okay.
I think we may have missed a step, in that I'm not sure the full board has seen those charts or approved adding them as an addendum. So, I mean, I'm happy if people just accept what the finance subcommittee did, but it seems like it'd be better if the full board had a chance to come to a decision if they agree with the finance subcommittee.
I'll make that motion.
Well, I think we need to, we can't do that yet.
Okay.
I think we need to give the full board time to review those charts again. You know, one of the issues that's come up, Karen, just to give you some backstory on this, is that those corrections were found basically back in December and January. And some of the corrections were made by the February 2nd meeting that the Finance Committee had. And so those corrections are fairly new. And I agree with Mike. We went from that right into getting the getting the grant written and now the deliverables written. So it's just a matter of timing. It's not that it's it's not on the radar screen. It's just that we've had these other priorities come up. So I agree. We should get it done. But I do think that the full board needs to be able to look and understand what those changes are. I'm assuming that's what you want, Mike, right?
Well, that's my suggestion.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, I'll
So,
take some responsibility for dropping the ball. I should have made sure that got on an agenda, but maybe for our April 13th meeting, we can make sure we do that.
yeah, I was gonna say, I'll add it to the next agenda, and if you can get those charts and titles to Greg so that we make sure we're looking at the right ones, and then we'll send that out with the agenda. It'll be an agenda item. You can just go over them, and then we'll make a motion to accept them. All right,
Sounds good.
okay. Karen, since I have you, did you have any other things on the February 16th minutes?
No,
No. And did anyone else have any comments? All right, so we have a motion. Oh, Len?
Yes, I just like to make a note in terms of page 3, where you talk about the members and their contact information. If you'd be willing to fix my email address, that would be great. With the O out after the R.
Oh, after the R?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they spell the name Reynolds with ROEY. I think it's a typo.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. That may explain what, because I think one of my emails bounced back from you too. So I'm wondering if that is wrong in my my email list. So I'll
It
get
was.
that right. It's weird. It's very strange. I don't know how that happened because I know I've been emailing you through a group email, and all of a sudden now it's changed. So anyway, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, it's approving the minutes. Bill, it came on at 6:09, just for the record. Thank you, Bill. And Raina is back with us. She was only gone for a little bit, so I didn't want to interrupt when she came back in. So I guess let's do a quick roll call vote, and I'll just use first names and go through quickly. Raina? You're on mute.
Yep, yes.
Karen?
Yes,
Michelle, you're on mute. Michelle?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes,
Steve?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
Len?
Yes,
And Bill?
Yes.
And I see Jane. I don't see your picture, but Jane, you're here with us?
She had to step out.
Jane, you're on mute.
I think she had
She's
to
on
step.
mute.
I believe she had to step out. Al.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, so that's,
You count me
that
in.
motion passes. Oh, and Greg.
See, I
And
mean,
then March 16th, a motion to approve the March 16th minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
So Lynn made the motion, Raina seconded. Any discussion? Okay, moving to a vote. Greg?
I was joking. Yeah, I wrote them, so
So he approved them. I approve them. Raina?
Yes.
Steve?
I wasn't there.
Okay, so you want to abstain? Or you can still, if you read them, you can still approve them if you choose to.
Oh,
'Cause
I'll
that means
approve
you,
that.
yeah. Hello, Mike. Okay, I'll go.
Sure.
on. So he approves him. Michelle,
Yes.
Lynn,
that me?
Len,
Yes.
yes.
Lynn, yes.
Renee?
Yes.
Okay, Renee?
Yes.
Bill said yes,
Yeah.
and Jane is still not here. So those are approved. And then did the FTF have any minutes that you want to approve here? You've been doing them at your meeting, so I don't know, you may not have any for this meeting.
Not yet. We had a meeting yesterday, but they're not complete. I'm doing
Okay.
it. I was responsible for those.
All right, perfect. And the Education Subcommittee minutes for approval. I know that they had some. Are
Oh,
anyone on that committee ready to approve them?
we could approve them.
Do you want me to pass over them till the next meeting?
I wasn't present at that meeting, so I don't, I've seen the minutes, but I don't have any objection to them. We did not approve them at the last meeting because everybody hadn't seen them yet.
Karen, have you seen them, Karen? Reviewed them?
I have seen them. I'm in the same boat as Bill. I wasn't there at the meeting, but I have no objections to them.
Okay, Raina?
I wrote them, so.
Well, I'm looking, who else is on that committee? How about Renee?
I
Have you,
move them to approve, but can anyone else vote on them if no one else was there?
I was there. I
Okay.
didn't approve them.
Okay,
so we have a motion by Renee and a second by Steve. Any discussion?
No.
Since Deb's not here, I guess I will make sure, I'll call for a vote. Raina, you wrote them, but you approve of them?
Yes, I do.
And Karen, even though you weren't there, you can vote on them. It shows that you read them and you're aware.
Okay, so yes.
Okay, and then Steve
Yes,
and Renee
yes,
and Bill.
Yep.
And did I miss anyone on the Education Subcommittee? Okay, so
Yeah.
those are approved. And though, what was the date of those? Were the 29th, correct?
yes.
no.
We-
Oh, the fourth,
No?
March 4th.
No.
the
Yeah,
fourth.
March 4th.
Oh, thank you. Didn't you have another set to approve too?
We met on the 29th, but we haven't gotten those minutes yet.
Yeah, I haven't finished.
Okay.
those yet.
All right, thank you. All right, so we finished item 4. Item 5, subcommittee updates. So you were able to get a meeting or two in, so let's start with with Mike with Finance, Transportation, and Facilities. Bring that committee up to speed on your recent meetings.
Okay, well, the only meeting we've had since our last full meeting was yesterday. And we met to, the original agenda item was to talk about what we were hoping to get from the consultants for transportation, for facilities reports. And before the meeting started, we learned that facilities reports, as Alan explained in his cover letter, were not included in the RFQs. So we kind of switched to a discussion of the reports that we've already received from Gilmontague, which is in the process of getting reports for all their buildings. We have received reports for Sheffield and the elementary schools in Montague, Sheffield, and Hillcrest. And so we looked at them and discussed them and decided that they are pretty complete, maybe more complete than we need. In some areas, there are other areas that we had been hoping to get some information on that they don't provide, but we'll just find other ways of getting that information if possible. And that's about it. We got another meeting scheduled for next week to talk about a strategy for dealing with the consultants. And that's pretty much it. I think, unless Alan, you were there, got anything to add?
Yeah, so one part of the conversation, which was a good one, is we looked at other avenues to get information from Pioneer. I was asked to contact the superintendent and see if there's if they have a capital plan for the high school, middle school, high school, and to also, there were some creative conversations about different people that have come in to Pioneer and did analysis of various mechanical or other parts of the structure or of the systems. And so we're going to look to see if we can get that information together as well, because there might be a lot of good information already available that we can take a look at. And Lynn was going, I think it was Lynn who was going to follow that up with
Yes.
doing some research in that area. Greg?
Do we know when or if they've had any building assessments done recently or in the last 10 years or?
I don't know that. Karen might. I haven't had a chance to call Jonathan yet today. So, you know, I look at it is what it is now. I'll have that conversation, see what's available, and then we'll go from there. Joanne, there was a question, and she's on here. I think there was a question around when did you think the other, is it the high school? When did you think that was going to be available? Someone had asked that question during that meeting.
The high school building assessment's just getting started. And so it won't be until the very end of May, maybe in early June.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's
Well,
good.
what about Gil, Joanne?
Gil, I think we're still waiting on funding for Gil. Is that right,
What
Greg?
about Gil, Greg?
Well, the reason being is that we wanted to see what came out of the assessments from Gil, from the Montague side, so that we could see, you know, what are we getting for that? I'm not sure if we've received that yet, or possibly we're waiting on that from who would we get that from, Joanne? Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
I think I sent the 2 Montague reports to Ray.
You did? Okay. I'll check in
Yeah.
with him to see where that stands. I know there's
Yeah.
other things on the agenda, but find out what's going on with that. We're also in the midst of some fairly large capital projects for the elementary school. So that's going to probably change things in the next few years. So yeah, we'll look into that. Thanks.
Yeah. And Mike, the other thing you had a good conversation on was about, you know, asking some essential questions or, you know, that you might ask the financial people in the respective towns, and to see what kind of information you might be able to get. And working with the consultants, you might be able to refine what those questions might be and looking for data. I think that pretty much covers. You had a good meeting. So if there's no other comments, I'll go to the Education Subcommittee since Deb is not here. Raina, would you be willing to do a review of your meeting?
Yeah.
Another good one?
Yep. We had a little bit of a discussion on some of the challenges around further regionalization and questions that have come up in this forum as well, in terms of whether further regionalization would really help with the financial challenges for the districts, even though that's not our focus. We were also looking at or discussing ways to get staff feedback from staff, students, and the community, and really tried to think about ways that we wanted to work with the consultants on their tasks. There was definitely a lot of emphasis on getting feedback from the community, from the constituents. And one of the things we're up against is really that the staff are pretty focused on the challenges of educating students right now in the midst of COVID and with the impending return to full-time in-person learning. So that's going to be getting staff participation is going to be a little bit of a challenge. One of the other things that we wanted to look at also, and the focus of our next meeting is really going to be trying to nail down the questions that we want the consultants to focus on in surveying or however they're going to do their outreach. So thinking about ways to reach out to students, staff, and community, and also just what we want the consultants to focus on in terms of questions and trying to find some answers. So. Anyone else have anything to add? Yeah, we've scheduled our next meeting tentatively for March 12th. Since at that point we'll know.
April 12th, April 12th.
Oh,
right?
sorry, yeah, April 12th, sorry. We'll know, I assume we'll know who the consultants will be, and then we'll be meeting them at the full meeting, the full board meeting on the 13th. So.
Okay, thank you. So the next one is the PR subcommittee. And so there were three things that were released so far. There was the annual town meeting report that was sent to all the towns. Greg got that out, and then it was attached to an email that went to the staff. So I think Brian and John sent that out, and then that was released. We wanted the staff to see it before it went into the paper. It occurs to me now that I should be doing an email to parents similar to the one that went to the staff now, and get that out to parents and ask the superintendents to send it to the respective principals and have that go out so that the parents can be given an update as well. The process we're looking at is I don't plan on having any until maybe June full board meetings after the 13th, because most of the work you're going to be busy working with the consultants, and you don't need an extra meeting. That the rubber hits the road with the work that you're doing, and so we'll come back together in June and start pulling everything together. I did want to say that I think the way that it would work nicely is, as the subcommittee is doing your work, either give me a call or shoot me an email, or however you want to handle that, but communicate with me, and then the P&R committee will keep taking those updates from you, and we can do press releases, and we can inform the staff and the community on the various activities that you're involved in and what to expect, or so that they see that it's an ongoing process. In the end, in June, it'll all get pulled together. We probably won't get a report until August or late July. And that's when we have a presentation, and we can finally bring out to the public to start soliciting their opinions of it and getting their ideas, because we'll now have a variety of perspectives to share. And one thing I want to say about this board is I kind of appreciate the composition, because we have people. Oh, hi, Deb. Deb just came on. Pote. We have people that are very can see some real strong possibilities of having the districts combined, and they see some of the maybe huge advantages that there could be. And we have people on the committee that are, I don't want to say skeptical, but they have concerns. And so, you know, they'll be raising those concerns. And so it's nice to have, you know, a balance within a committee to, you know, bring things up. I think it makes us stronger as a group. So I just want to point that out, that I see that as a real plus for us working together collectively and listening to each other. So the Public Relations Committee will be, you know, pretty active now as we get information from you. And Joanne, please correct me if I have any of this wrong, or how about Joanne, give a review of when you expect to make the award, and how many, has anyone reached out to you yet? How many have you sent out? And around that. And I thank you so much. I know you spent a lot of time tidying things up and having conversations and getting this in a place where you know, you could get it out the door on a Friday. So it took you away from a lot of things, but thank you for doing that.
Sure. So we sent the education and finance request out to 8 different individuals, and you got a list of those. They went to both. You know, we sent them both, the education and the finance one, to all the same people. And then the transportation one went to 6 different people. So I did hear back from quite a few, but they were reaching out to let us know that they were not going to be putting in a quote. So I heard from 4 that they would not be putting in a quote. I did receive calls from both Steve and Mark asking questions about the RFQs, and Pam Leopold also asking some questions. And so I still need to reconnect with her.
Joanne, did you get reasons why people weren't going to, you know, be putting in quotes?
I think the timing is difficult on some. Not really good reasons, no, but it's mostly the timing. You know, and I explained that this is, the grant dries up at the end of June, and so, you know, that's what we need to shoot for. And I think, you know, one of them also, it's the same one that I'd called another time, you know, when we put a quote out a while back, the last time, and he didn't understand why we were going for a different consultant if we already had a consultant that did some work. So I told him we were putting it back out, you know, maybe different perspectives, and we can't just keep hiring the same consultant and pay them, you know, 50,000, 100,000, 150,000 without any kind of quotes being requested or bids going out.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Maybe
So,
we could find somebody new.
all right. So some of the questions that came out and recommendations from Mark and Steve. So Steve was concerned that the financial report couldn't be done without the educational report. And Mark had the same concerns. So as we look through the financial consultant request for quotes, I sort of went through it step by step with Mark. And I said, you know, some of the things that they're looking for, the committee's looking for, is a tool that they can reuse, an Excel tool that would have to be created, that they can put information in, they can change numbers. So some of the things that would need to be analyzed would be the explanation of how the DESE website works and how to calculate enrollment for the district and how to calculate the foundation enrollment, and just understanding that. The assessments, coming up with a proposed assessment, looking at what the assessment looks like if you take just Gil Montague or just the Pioneer one, put all the towns in it and see what those assessments look like. And, you know, these are the things that are bulleted on this request for quotes. Analyzing the salary schedules, placing individuals on them with the current staffing, and developing a new salary schedule. And maybe that's a salary schedule that the committee could adjust. And then, you know, it just changes where people are on there. And analyzing the health and dental, same thing. So I told them I didn't think it really needed to, the financial piece didn't need to follow the education piece, because some of it would just be questions. If we have a certain number of teachers right now, there can be something in that Excel spreadsheet that says you're going to add 2 teachers or remove 5 teachers, or, you know, what are you going to do with those, the staff? What will the health insurance look like? What will the athletics look like? All those different things, you know, we don't really need to have the education piece in place before they can do an analysis, a deep dive analysis of the financials and looking at all of these things. So Mark seemed to understand that. He did suggest that we get another NESDEC report. And I told him that if there was money within the budget and within the grant left, maybe we could do that. So if some of these quotes come in lower than what we're allocating for them, maybe there'll be money to do another NESDEC report. And then Steve Hemman had the same questions about the educational and financial piece, that he didn't think we could do the financial piece without having the answers to the educational side of things.
You know, I'm going to just make an interesting comment that it almost seems self-serving, and that you know, they work together, and so it might be the motivation behind it might also be that they would have liked to have gotten both pieces together, or the whole amount. I agree that, you know, if we have 5 teachers less, then it's a matter of taking out the salary for the 5 teachers and plugging in that new number. So I don't really see that has to occur one with the other. So I'm glad you differentiated that the financial piece is really an isolated piece that they should be able to do independent. You know, you take 2 salary schedules and no one gets hurt, and you propose a new salary schedule. You had indicated when you and I talked that with them having that information, it shouldn't be that much of a problem, or that, you know, that much of a time consuming. And so thank you for, you know, kind of keeping that separate, and we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe they're the only, I don't know what happens if they bid on both of them, and obviously those 2 amounts exceed 50. Does that create a problem at that point, or no?
Well, hopefully they each bid on one and they don't bid together.
Right. So Mars could bid on one aspect of it, and Abraham's could bid on another. Do they understand that to be the case?
Well, they should. That's the way the request for quotes went out.
All right. Well, thank you for that. So your timeline for awarding is?
Alan,
Well,
can I just add a comment?
Sure.
Which is to thank Joanne for dealing with those guys. I think you gave them a very good explanation. I am also a little mystified that they would have not understood that what we're looking for doesn't really require a full understanding of the education piece, because the whole point of having a tool is that we could use that tool to assume various different educational scenarios and see what the effect would be. So, I mean, it suggests to me that they didn't really understand what we were looking for, what we are looking for. And quite frankly, having worked with them, that doesn't completely surprise me. I do hope that whoever we get to do this is able to actually produce what we're looking for.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that too.
Trying to be careful what I say here.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I was starting to sweat.
Yeah,
I might have people
I'm
reviewing
also a
this.
little worried about the financial tool and what you're asking for in the tool, and that you know, it'll be, I mean, it's difficult to, I mean, I can read this and I know what you're looking for. I know that you want to be able to manipulate this over the next year as you try to figure all of this out. And I'm just hoping that the tool that you're provided with at the end of paying somebody a lot of money to produce it will do what you need it to do.
Well, I agreed. I expect to be working with them as they develop it. You know, and I mean, obviously the whole subcommittee will be working with them, because part of the goal is to have the people on the subcommittee at least understand how to use it.
Right.
And I have not a detailed vision, but a general vision of what I'm looking for, which I don't think is too hard to understand. So I mean, it's clearly not trivial to build, but that's why we're paying them a lot of money.
Mhm.
So, but I see that as being part of our subcommittee's work, is to not just wait around for 2 months and then receive this tool at the end, but they should be giving us, as they develop it, they should be coming to us and saying, okay, what do you think? And we should be providing feedback and helping them develop it.
Okay, so when
Yes,
we
and
do the
did say,
Oh.
go ahead.
So when we do the contract for them, we probably should have some check-in dates. So if you have a calendar of your finance committee meetings, then I can provide that to them as part of the contract. So when we give them a contract and say you're awarded this bid, on this date, we're going to get the draft of this Excel document. On this date, we're going to get an updated version. These are the dates that we're going to have you give us updates.
And
So the thinking was, Joanne, that they would have a meeting with the consultants, their first meeting. They would talk about, the finance subcommittee would go over this tool and the other aspects to make sure they understand it. And then collectively, they would develop a calendar where they would set up, these are the activities in maybe a week on, week off, and that the week off, the education subcommittee would be meeting and reaching out and getting information. And then the week on would be the consultants meeting with the education subcommittee to check in, and along those, like you suggest, along those timelines to here's where we are so far. I'm expecting that would be done collectively during their first meeting, once they map out, you know, maybe they want to tackle, you know, the salary schedule and the benefits first, because they could knock that off in a couple weeks, you know, and then go to the next phase. So I thought that might make sense to do that collectively and map that out. And same
So
with the education subcommittee.
Maybe it could just be every 2-week check-ins then.
but
I mean, I just want to have something on the.
specifics. I liked your idea that it would be specifics that they would be delivering at those check-ins. And having spent my life writing programs for people, one of the check-ins should be that we get a test version. So we can try it out, we can try to break it, and we can tell them, this is what needs to be changed, this is what works great, if anything does.
Jane can be our beta tester.
Yeah, well,
But we're going to have more than one,
right.
but she's on the list.
I have a
So
question
when,
too.
Jane, so when you
If I
develop
had
your
lots of
calendar,
time, I would write it myself, but I don't have that kind of time.
yeah, Jane, so when you develop your calendar, you can make those specific activities, like Joanne said, like every 2 weeks. But you should probably do that collectively, so, and identify with the consultants, you know, when those would occur. I do want to make sure I go to Jennifer, because she's been patiently waving at me.
Well, Alan, let me
Jennifer,
just
go
say
ahead.
that let me just say quickly for Joanne that I like the idea of specifying somehow in the contract, probably every 2-week check-ins. But then, as Alan says, we can work out with the consultant what we expect a reasonable timeline is for getting all the deliverables.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask too, as long as we are clear with our expectations, I mean, we should be able to be getting the product that we want. I'm actually taking a procurement class right now, so it's really important to be as clear as possible in your contract on defining exactly what we want. So I think as long as, you know, we have a vision and we know exactly what it is, I think that I just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
Okay. So Joanne, did you want to finish up the award part, the date and where we are there?
Yeah, the awards, the quotes are due on Friday, April,
The
let's
9th,
see,
April 9th?
on the 9th at 11 a.m. So that'll give me the day to get the contracts put together, but I'll work on contracts in advance of that. So that way they'll be ready to go and we'll just have to award them. And I can send everything to you, Greg and Alan, so that way you could send it out. So that way, if we get multiple quotes, we'll need to talk about who to accept. Our rule for award is in here.
Oh, yeah, and also the challenge that we have, if April 13th is the next meeting of this group, we have school committee that night.
And I'm on vacation.
Well, all right. Multiple conflicts.
Yeah.
So Joanne, thank you, Brian. Joanne, let's go back to that for a minute. You know, I was under the assumption that you review, kind of do what you would do as the business director, check on, their qualified and responsible bidders, and that you would then make the award to the lowest qualified and responsible bidder. You just introduced something of if you had more than one and they were both responsible, and wouldn't you just make the award to the lowest one? Or are you suggesting if there was a tie, that the committee, we'd have to then have a conversation?
Well, there could be a tie. You could be interested in seeing who the quotes are coming from. There is something to think about with responsive and responsible, right? Maybe somebody, you find somebody not to be responsive. Maybe you don't think they're up to the challenge. So, that would be the only thing that you'd have to think about.
Greg.
Yeah, Alan, you don't have to go with the lowest bidder. You look at the context of who it is and what they're offering, because I'm sure most people have had to do this at one point or another, but again, you don't have to necessarily go with the lowest bidder. It's just looking at their experience, what they offer, and does it fit, our needs.
Yeah, so it's that and
RFP,
qualified.
right?
The qualifier one is the one that kind of you can look at to decide on if you feel someone is qualified, to do that. I'm just wondering, I mean, we have such a small timeline, and if we're having a conversation on the 13th about who it is we're going to select, that'll be another week before we do that. Unless we do that then the very next day, and you're not around, Joanne, so I guess we'll have to have a conversation and figure that out. Because you get the paperwork out to them, correct?
Right, I can get the paperwork out to them, and I think that, if Greg and Alan are given the authority from this committee to have those discussions, if they need to be had, then we can make that decision on Friday and finish it up. I mean, I'm going to guess that we're going to get quotes from Mark and from Steve, and we're not going to get anything else. Or it'll be outside of our budget like we've gotten in the past, where the quotes come in, sure, and they say, we can do what you want, but we can't do everything you want. Or we can do everything you want, but it's going to cost you 5 times the amount of money that you have available. And so then they wouldn't be the low quote. They wouldn't be responsive on the original quote, so we'd have to go with the ones we have. Just guessing, but I'm I'm thinking that's where we could end up going.
Suppose we think that
Have-
no one has been responsive.
What's that?
What's that?
Suppose we think that no one has been responsive. Then we just don't choose anyone, we deny all the quotes.
Right, we could start over.
Well, I'm concerned about that. We're, with our time frame, it would mean our.
Well, I'm concerned about that too, but I see no, if we think that, on the finance one, I'll just talk about that one. If we think that no one is going to meet the things we've requested, it's foolish to pay them money when we're not going to get the product that we're looking, when we know upfront that we're probably not going to get the product we're looking for. I see lots of heads nodding. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so another thing that could occur is before the award's made, and let's just go down that road for a minute. You could have a meeting with that group, and I'm talking finances only. And that meeting determines sort of the meeting of the minds of here's what we're looking for, be very clear, very specific, and are you going to be able to do this or not? And then make a decision on whether you want to make that award or not. So you might want to think about that, because that state of really being clear and making sure that that everyone understands what the deliverables are. I wanted to ask you, Joanne, did you hear from Karen at all?
Yes, Karen said she was not interested. I have an email from her I can forward to you.
Oh, really? That surprises me and disappoints me. Okay. All right, well, on a happier note, we're almost on the agenda. So the 9th, you send it out, you go on vacation and you're gone for the whole next week, and then you come back on the.
I'll be back the following weekend, but I could be available if I needed to be. So.
Okay, on your cell phone.
Right, I'll have a
Okay.
computer.
All right, and just for people to know, on the 14th, I'm going to North Carolina. I will be back on the 26th. So I'm gone that week, and I understood from Greg that when I come back, he was just telling me that he goes away. Correct, Greg? So you're gone the week after I come back?
I can be in contact. I'm going to be doing my work remotely anyway, so.
Okay,
so,
all right, good.
I mean, it's not like I'll be unavailable. I'll be out of state.
Yeah, and I'll have my computer with me, and I'll be available as well if we need to have a meeting or something happens. Deb, you joined us a little bit late. Did you want to make any comments before? Renee did give a review of your meeting. Since you're chair, you're okay. I get the thumbs up. She's okay.
Thanks, Renee.
It was
Appreciate
Raina.
I'm sure you did a great job.
It was Raina.
Oh, Raina.
Oh, Raina. Yes,
Raina. Thank you, Raina. I'm sure you did a great job. Appreciate it. She's my second. She's awesome.
Renee, did you want to comment or just correct me for my error in name? Okay. All right, so we have, we finished all of 6. Really? We're all done that part? So overview of the 6-town regional planning board goals. We have that on every agenda in case it has to be tweaked.
Alan, do we need to vote to give you and Greg authority to negotiate with the proposed consultants?
Yeah, I put that down as a parking lot item, but we should, yes, why don't we
It
do
should
that?
happen at this meeting, shouldn't it?
Yes, it should.
Shall I move?
Does
to,
someone want to make a motion?
I move to make that authorization.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Don't let them get away with anything.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna work really closely with Joanne and Greg and trying to figure out what's, what's best.
I definitely have concerns over this process, but Mark did reach out to me as well to ask some questions about the RFQ. I haven't had any communication with him, but maybe Joanne, I don't know what your schedule is like. If I can maybe talk with you as well. I don't think we need to get into a long conversation. I'm concerned about if they come back with a quote, if those are the only two we get, and they don't see the possibility of being able to fulfill all those, and that it's only some of them, what do we do in that case? If in fact we only get Mars and Abrams, which I think is likely because they have all the back history and they've done all the work, which puts them in the position of being the consultants that can actually do it in this time frame.
Well, they'd have to split it. Mars would have to be doing one group. Abraham's group would have to be doing the other piece to it.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm more worried about the financial part because to create a tool, which they're asking for, which I think is really important. I do think that that's going to be a pretty heavy lifting on their part. And I'm wondering if in the back of their minds, they're going to say, well, if we do that, we're not going to be able to do some of these other things. And then, it's going to be left up to us to prioritize and make the decision whether or not we want to go forward or find a compromise or, and that puts the board out of the loop when those decisions are made.
Alan,
Jane?
on the financial picture, I would hope that you would talk with Mike with any questions that they come up. And I'm really concerned to think that Abrams called Greg. There's a definite path that they should be following, and it's to call Joanne.
I agree.
It's not to call any board member. And they just lost a point, in my opinion, by calling him and asking him to get involved. And I'm glad that you haven't responded yet.
I haven't responded. I think.
I mean, I'm sure you feel the same way.
Well, to be fair, they put a lot of time into this. And I know the finance committee feels the way they do, but I know that they've been very they had good communications with both Alan and me. And I know that's not the case with all the committees. So, I'm just trying to be fair here, but, and I don't know what the nature of the call is. It may just be clarification, which
but that's what Joanne's supposed to be doing.
Agreed. I'm not necessarily trying to defend or condemn. I'm just saying that at this point, I haven't been in communication with him. I do think it's a little odd that he is reaching out, and I can refer him to Joanne.
I'd like that if you did.
Yeah, it's fine.
Deb?
Oh, I think Michelle was ahead of me. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Deb. I'm just wondering, having worked with them, with the HART committee also, why would they come up with a tool for us?
Can I answer that?
Yes.
They already have the tool. They're doing all kinds of studies for other people besides us. They already have this tool. They have to decide how much of it they want to share with us, if they want to share any of it.
Exactly.
Our own.
That's what I was thinking. Why wouldn't people go for a grant or pay them each time to give us the data? That's all.
Well, they would still get the grants and they would still get to do the work because all of the volunteers don't have time to do it. And even if we have the tool in the future, who's going to have time to enter all the data?
Right.
I think that's my suspicion as well. My concern with that, and to Michelle's point, is that I think that they're going to see that as something that's proprietary to their business. And therefore, why should they sell something that, you know, they would potentially license and not have it be purchased through a NR, you know, through a grant. So I totally get what you're saying. I was thinking the same thing, Michelle.
Well, and I'll just, I mean, not to get into a big discussion. I'm not so sure they have that tool, having seen their skills. But it's possible they do.
Or they
Yeah, so I had the
parts of
same,
it. They have parts.
yeah, I had the same concern as Greg. I think it's a proprietary issue that they may have. But I sat in on the Finance, Transportation and Facilities meeting, and I thought you were pretty clear that out of the items that were on there, that was the most important one to you. So if there is any doubt of whether or not you want to make the award, I would suggest not making the award, but having a meeting with them and seeing, after you have a heart-to-heart conversation and clarity about what you're looking for, if you don't feel that they're going to produce what you're looking for, then don't make the award. And the other items, I think, wouldn't take a lot of time because they're not reach out items. Looking at benefits, developing a salary schedule. I forget what else, Joanne, but I think we could put that back out just on those components of it. And maybe some of these people that declined would be willing to do some of those task related activities. What do you think that's possible? That wasn't rhetorical. Joanne, do you think that's possible or no?
Sorry, Joanne,
From you.
and Alan, Deb has her hand up, just so you're aware.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. I think it's possible. I just think, you know, at this point, we're offering 42,000. Our bid's probably going to come in right around 41,000. And if we go back out and say we want everything but the tool, I don't, you know, we drop that money down, you know, you drop that money down, then you can use extra money for the NASDAQ report, or you could use the extra money for the facilities reviews of the 2 high schools, or you could, you know, you can use the money for other purposes. Some of these tools, some of these analysis, they've sort of done in prior years. And, you know, if I didn't have another job, I could do some of these for you, easy enough. Not all of them at once by June, but, you know, you're not paying me, so it doesn't have to be done by June. But, you know, I'm not trying to find work for myself. But
yeah, just to let you know, and then I'm going to call on Deb. People have a high level of confidence in you, and some people had shared with me that they thought you would be in a position and have the knowledge and skill to actually develop what we're looking for. You know, it's a matter of time, but the confidence was there that, boy, it's too bad she wasn't doing that, because what may be a real long undertaking for someone else, she could probably do in a shorter amount of time. So, Deb?
I don't know enough about who can do these things, but and I could be wrong about Michael Sullivan, but he wouldn't be interested in participating in this. You guys can be like, oh, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I sent it to him.
Oh, you did?
I did. Because
Okay.
I thought, who better to look at the educational piece than the guy who started all of this,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I did send it to him, and he said, if this was after June, he would absolutely be interested. But he's working until June. He's kind of busy running a school right now. So
I didn't know if he was working. That's too bad.
Yep.
Swamp, could I make a suggestion? We had a motion and a second, but I would like to suggest that that motion be amended to be to include Mike as the chair of the finance committee to be a part of the decision-making, since there's sensitivity around the financial piece, that he be included in that decision-making on the, whatever it is, the 13th.
I'll second that motion.
It has to be amended first from whoever made the motion.
I thought you were offering an amendment and I was seconding your amendment.
Oh, if, okay, that's fine. We can go that route. If Mike can make it. Mike, are you okay with that?
Sure, I guess, unless Jane wants to do it. It might be tougher than I am.
I bow to you.
Well, I
About
think it
this?
makes sense. that I
Try
should be
Mike.
involved.
We'll try you, Mike, first, and if for whatever reason we're in a time crunch and we can't get you, we'll go to Jane as the backup. How's that?
That sounds excellent.
Okay. That was a friendly amendment.
Okay.
So we have two. Okay, I guess, Greg, I guess this is pretty substantial, so please do a roll call vote on this because it's authorizing the 3 or 4 of us to make this decision on behalf of the committee.
Well, you can make the roll call. I mean, you're the chair, so.
Okay, so Greg, so everyone clear on the motion? It's to authorize Greg and I and Mike or Jane to work with Joanne to settle any gray areas in trying to make an award and in making award on behalf of the planning board, if that's deemed that an award is appropriate. So that's what we're voting on, I think. Greg,
Yeah, I.
Raina,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes,
Michelle,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes.
Bill,
Yep.
Deb. I heard a yes. Jane,
Yes.
and that makes it unanimous. Did anyone leave us? I don't think so.
And Al, I just want to say, Deb, I wasn't intentionally trying to leave you out as the chair of the education subcommittee. It's just that your the portion that went out, the RFQ that went out for education is just more straightforward. I don't see it as being, a contentious thing or problematic. So.
Lynn?
What?
Oh, I thought Lynn raised her hand. I'm sorry.
No, we're
All
set.
right. Did we handle the parking lot item regarding, I guess we did, regarding the, Mike, you're going to come back with the charts at the next meeting and you're going to send those out and then we're going to vote to approve those. So I have that down under parking lot, but I guess that we've already handled that. And then we have the meeting on the 13th at 6. And then those other dates, people can grab if you want as the subcommittee for the 20th or the 27th. I was just listing out, I believe they were Tuesdays, without the intention of having them as planning board meetings, but maybe the 20th, the education subcommittee could be meeting along with the finance, and the 27th. Certainly you can meet on the same date. So I'll let you decide that. If you don't want to do it now, when you'd like to have your subcommittee meeting, then you could do it after the meeting. I just want to give you that opportunity.
yeah, but have you been meeting on Tuesdays?
Our next meeting.
Oh, no, I guess those are those Wednesdays?
No, they're Tuesdays.
I think my committee, we decided to meet on the 12th. Didn't we decide? We're going to stick with that, right?
Yep.
You've been meeting Mondays, right? Okay, and that works for your committee?
so far.
Right, you're right, Deb. You decided 5:30 on the 12th. You're right.
I'm just thinking
And-
it's probably better that we not meet on the same day of the week, just in case we happen to both want to meet in the same week with the consultants.
Did you want to pick a day, Mike, to meet for the
Well,
finance?
we already have a meeting next week. So I think we'll talk about it then,
What's the date on that?
next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. The 6th.
Yes.
I
We
didn't write
decided
that.
that
Thank you.
yesterday,
What time is that?
4:30.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think that's all of the business. Were there any other items that you wanted to talk about? Greg?
Yeah, I'm curious, since Brian's here, Brian, I just wondering if you have any concerns, comments, or questions.
Is he still here?
Brian, you're on mute.
Yeah, I kept navigating around the little microphone icon and never quite hitting it. No, I don't. I just really wanted to have a chance to observe and see the process at this particular point. So I don't have any specific questions. I think it would be inappropriate for me to comment at this particular point because we're just in the process of identifying people to gather additional information for us. So, but it's been really helpful for me. Sure. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, the education subcommittee is going to be reaching out to you to ask for your help in identifying people that they could be talking to or participating in meetings. So so I forget who that was, Deb, that was going to be reaching out to Brian. Someone was, and so expect a call. And the other thing I want to ask you, did you get any questions or feedback regarding the staff letter? Did people
No, in
understand
fact,
it, or was
Alan,
that
I apologize. I have not sent that out because we're funneling kids into school right now.
Oh,
And I'm not going to mix any kind of, we won't get any kind of response to it at all as people are totally preoccupied. So our kids come back in on the 5th. So it was my intent to send that out on, the evening of the 5th. Or even
Okay.
during the day at that particular point, because I didn't want it to get lost in the shuffle. I wanted people to, who are in the buildings and nervous about, moving from 6 feet to 3 feet, not have something else on their plate that they might not otherwise be able to contribute to in a thoughtful way.
Yeah.
And there'll be 2 weeks before the April vacation. And so it was my hope that we'd get some people who might be more inclined to jump in if I sent it out at a point in time when they'd be able to receive it. So.
okay? Yeah, thank you for being sensitive to that. That's good. That's good. And thanks, Craig. All right, I think that's all our business then. So
Alan, if I just have
yeah, please.
One clarifying question. So it's in my notes, is it the Ed Subcommittee that meets on the 12th at 5 o'clock? Okay, so
5:30?
5:30, I'm sorry. So if somebody could just send me a link, I can get that in my calendar and plan to attend, because we'll be reviewing the high school program of studies at that particular point, and my director of teaching and learning can bring me in, has frequently brought me in the loop. So despite the fact that, in being a first-time superintendent and just working as a crisis manager, it's that time of year when I really need to become acquainted, crisis or not, with our programming in a little bit greater depth. So I can do that research now that we have the draft program of studies prepared for school committee at the secondary level.
Okay, that's great. So Deb, you can put that on the agenda as one of the agenda items, program of study review for Gil Montague. Perfect. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
I'll send you the email, Brian, and the link.
Okay, thank you.
Once I figure that out.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I just want to interject that on the 13th, I too will be at a school committee meeting. The second and fourth Tuesdays of every month are school committee. Our school committee. Thanks.
Spring also has one that night too.
Do we want to move it to the 5th, to the 14th, the Wednesday? Ooh.
Then I'll be in an
No.
assessors meeting.
Oh, okay, you don't know how to say no.
The assessors
All right,
meeting
I'll
is at 4 o'clock, so if this meeting
Oh.
is later, that would be all right.
He's also on capital improvements too.
Oh, so do
I have a
people
lot
want to
of
stay with the
fun.
13th? Do people want to stay with the 13th? What, how many are we losing? 2? 1?
Just one.
All right, well, we will miss you then. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All right. Is that does anyone object to that? I'm not going to do the roll call vote and get in trouble. Is there any discussion or objection to that? All right. I declare it has passed unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Happy Easter.
You too.
Good night.
You too. Good night.